Well, look who it is.
Oh, snap. I haven't seen you in a year, man. Theo.
It's
Was that
been,
just
yeah,
awesome?
it's been a minute. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing? Good.
Good. Yeah, not too bad. I'm doing that. I usually don't make it all.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been telling a lot of people you're the first person I think I was bothering with AI and trying not to piss off too much about how AI is gonna take all of our jobs.
No, actually, you've been one of the few folks who, especially on the creative side, who've been kind of embracing it and like seeing it for what it is and making practical, like genuine use of it, as opposed to like, oh, it'll replace things. It's like it's a force multiplier. It'll augment, and trying to find novel ways of using it. Just that our corporate infrastructure was like, yeah, that's not exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's a
I
shame.
don't understand. Yeah.
Well, just FYI, I am recording this because I do plan to put this up on our Discord channel just to share. There are some people like John, remember Uziak?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's unable to come, so I want to make sure people like him get a chance because I've been getting messages like, "Oh, I'd really like to, listen in and really like for people to have a conversation." That's the whole point of it. I can talk all day, I can show stuff all day, but I'd like to have people's input. And if you're not familiar, the whole, the really big thing is like it's more about having a conversation of like, we see all these people on LinkedIn on social media saying, "Look what I did with AI," and it's like, go to hell. You're not using it right, or you're not using it properly, and it's more about like, there are people using it with morals and actual practical use cases. And so,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I was going to say, I was telling Kevin, actually, he's one of the guys I work with now. He's on my team.
Hey, what's up, Theo?
Hey, that's me, Kevin.
I worked with Theo for about 10 years almost at Accenture.
Oh my God, it has been long.
Started the XR group and traveled the world, preaching the good word of VR and XR when it wasn't even cool. Nowadays, it feels like a different world.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was telling too, my recording bot is Arcos. Hopefully you remember who Arcos is.
Oh my God. Little Apocalypse. How could I forget?
I actually went and got that book again just for Audible so I can listen to it, which I suggest everybody get on Audible because it's amazing hearing the different voices. You pick up on a lot of the different viewpoints. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I picked up on a lot of things that I didn't think of when I first read it because I think I was just blowing through it. So, a great book. And because it's on the topic of AI and really like it's interesting to see what Wilson thought in 12 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's been quite a while since
where
I
it's
read
at
that.
now, and you're like, it's cute. They talk about like some of the things like, oh, the camera's going to be this, and I was like, yeah, cameras are like they're nanoparticles now. They're nothing like what you thought, but it was a good try. Yeah. So let me. I have an agenda, but I don't want to. I don't like sticking to things too much. I'm not a stickler too much. But the big thing I want to really start with is like, I don't know if you guys saw it, but the Xbox layoffs. Id is here in, well, yeah, they're here in Dallas. And actually have a lot of coworkers that after terminal closed, they went there and worked there. A few of them are still there, but a handful of them actually were let go. And so it was, for me, it was an interesting thing because, well, if you know about Xbox much, they have the Gamer Pass, which I think is a weird product to have because basically you pay a monthly fee and you can, it's kind of like the PlayStation Store too. I think basically you can get free games for a monthly fee. One of the problems like with it is whenever you get a monthly fee, you can download a brand new game like Doom. Why would you want to spend full price on it? So games like that are hurting, it hurts sales, but it's kind of been what I've been going to. And with Bowler Hat, actually, I've been talking with some smaller companies about ethical and smart ways to use AI in game production or interactive production. And it's starting to look like video game, actual like AAA studios have to start looking at better ways to build games because all my friends that work in AAA studios, they're like, okay, we're going to build a game and it's going to take this, and this, and this. And, 20 hours later, like, okay, we've got an army. And it's like, yeah, but this is just a fight, not a battle. And so they're ramping up too much. And so the idea is that, you really should be looking at how do you make games sooner or cheaper at least prototype them. without going down these long production pipelines. And I think that's some of the things that you see with Xbox and all these bigger studios. It's just like the investment of time it takes. And there's the machines of game production can be so rigid sometimes. I always wanted to like boast about how awesome game industry people were about being robust and tech savvy. But at the same time, pipelines are still archaic in a sense of like we kind of ran into an Accenture sometimes too. It's like, okay, we got to have this and this and this to do it. We can't do any other way. If you do any other way, you're an indie. You suck. So it's it kind of shooting yourself in the foot. And so it sucks for all the people that lost their jobs. There was like 3,000 people just an Xbox, and that's a ton. So hopefully, I mean, they'll all be able to find somewhere. I know a lot of people say it, but I would hope that there's a lot of smart people that have some kind of leeway or runway, maybe to even start their own thing, because that kind of goes into what I'll be showing a little bit later. Is like the tools you can build now to make your own game is if you know what you're doing, if you know how to build a game, if you're smart, you have an IQ above 100, you can do a lot of damage. So I would hope that there's a lot of people that maybe take advantage of that. Now, if they have the funds and the time, who knows? And that kind of sucks. So, yeah, it was id and Bethesda. Was it GameWorks or something? I think I had a few friends down there that lost their jobs. It just sucks because those are kind of places those people wanted to be at for the rest of their career, and now they're having to kind of rethink things. But I know a lot of people are going to go back and say, well, AI is the reason we lost our job. It's not the reason at all. I don't think AI is causing anybody to lose their jobs. It's even if someone says we replace you with AI, it's not AI taking your job. It's a dumb, ignorant person in leadership thinking that they can replace you when really they should be enhancing what you have. Kind of like what you said, it's an augment or it's a force multiplier of what you can do. So I see studios doing that or companies doing that. It's like, okay, stay away from that company because they have no idea what they're doing until they do a whole C-suite, flush. Yeah, so I mean that was the big thing. I think there was another studio. It was Double Fine. They went back to indie. They were de-invested and divested. And they had to lay off like half of their people just because they're going back to an indie, not a AAA publisher funded studio anymore. So there's that. The really scary thing though is, I mean, it's just I was reading. There's analysts. Who knows? They might have came from Accenture. We know how great those analysts are. But they're proposing, I think by the end of the year, we're going to look at 14,000 more jobs, I think, lost in the game industry. So would hope that basically forces an industry or forces people to rethink how games are made, or you'll have a kind of another like the early 80s of the game industry.
A crash.
Yeah. That kind of goes into the other thing. One of my biggest pet peeves I've had for the past 6 months is especially like since was it Fable? About 2 months, I guess, actually, for Fable. People have been saying, even before Fable, but really Fable's what, from Anthropic, they've been saying, look, I put in one prompt and I have a GTA clone or whatever. And yeah, that's my look every time too. The issue with it is, my first thing is like, great, you have a clone. You don't have a clone. You have a world. I was literally just looking at one on LinkedIn about someone that did you love this because I know you like Avatar. They built a simulation where you can water bend in an endless flowing world of ice and do all kinds of spells. And I was like, okay, cool. That's fun for like 5 minutes, if that. And then you're done. And I always associate it to like how, having a game genie. Game genies are cool with Mario. Oh, I get super jump. I'm invincible. Until you're like, all right, the game wasn't meant to play like this. The same way with like AIs, like game development wasn't made to work like this. You can make something, but it doesn't actually have. That's not what makes the game fun.
You can build a chassis, a really beautiful, like amazing looking sports car, and then have nothing under the hood, or have like a go-kart engine under the hood, and it's not going to perform or feel the way that it looks like it should on the outside. So like it on the surface, you get something that can maybe evoke, like, it's almost like in some ways it's early inspiration and like concept art, sort of. Like you see it in motion, where it's like, this is kind of the feel we want to do. We'll refine these systems. We'll put, boundaries on it. We'll have enemies to fight. And you need actual like design and thought put into create the obstacles and ways of making that feel fun in that. Because like the actual gameplay that's the creative part. The AI can't really kind of build that yet, or at least like you use that as like an iterative tool to get to where you want. It's not going to be able to just snap its fingers and make it happen.
Yeah. And the big thing people talk about too is, token burn rates, and how, you'll go through like Fable, and it'll, and now they're Fable's built into the, pay as you go model. It's not just included in your plan. So
Oh
you start
no,
losing money. Yeah.
that's scary.
But,
Get
but
away from
honestly,
me.
you can use Opus 5 and it's just as good. Minus little things. But the thing is, a lot of people are using, they're saying, I want to make GTA. And so it keeps asking it, okay, build me this, build me that, do this. And so they're constantly using tokens to build the game. And that's, I don't think there's any game out there that will ever actually be cost effective to do that. Plus, I mean, and nowadays, like, maybe a year or two ago, actually a year ago, probably, you always had that issue where if you asked too much, I ran into this when I started, as an Accenture, I was using ChatGPT to write me scripts for Unity. The problem though is that you say, make me a revision, fix this bug. Great. It fixes the bug over here, but it just bulldozes everything else. Nowadays, a lot of the stuff you can usually have it built in memory, or it breaks things up into chunks. So it's not so bad about it, if as long as you're not prompting like an idiot. If you're doing like an idiot, you're gonna destroy everything. But um, yeah, you're gonna end up burning through so much tokens though every time you want an ask. Like, oh, I want to make the character blue. Okay, it's gonna burn 200 tokens to go through and change the material. Um, and that's kind of where I got to the point where like there's a smarter way to do it. And that's where the tools element come in. Rather than having it build you a game, like and this is where I think the disconnect is, like a lot of people that don't know how to build games, that are accountants, or I don't know, some other just non-game dev stuff. They're like, I can make a game now. It's like, yeah, but we're not there yet. What can happen though is if you have someone that knows how to build a game, has used Unity, Unreal, Godot, knows a little, plays games even. If you know how game development works, now you can start thinking about, okay, I need to, let's get the basics of a project setup. So what you can do now is ask it for tools to do things. Kind of like a lot of times, like sometimes I ask you for a function, like I think it was one of the ones to generate collision automatically.
Mm-hmm.
On
Like a material importer that
yeah,
showed you something, a default texture. Yeah,
yeah.
like things that can
So
augment development.
yeah, so it's and it really, a lot of it I associate, you think about it as what a tech artist or a tools programmer would end up doing. If you start looking at a game, and I'll show an example in a little bit, but like what the prototypes I have, I start thinking about, okay, here's the game I want to do. I only have me right now, and me, I only have a few hours every evening. I've got a day job. I work with Kevin, so it's like when 5 o'clock hits, I have dinner. I might have a few hours on the laptop here or there, but it's like I don't have I don't have a full day to work on something. So I'm like, I don't want to have to go through. I don't, when I give a kind of a plan, it's like I don't want to have to be dragging scripts around. I don't want to have to be doing anything where I have to input values and check data and all that kind of stuff. I want flashy windows and buttons that I can click, and little fields that I can plug in my 3D art, my textures, or I can plug things in, and kind of like almost like state machines in a sense, I guess. But when you start doing that, then it just comes down to you spend more time refining your idea and fighting the actual, how do I make this thing do? But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times it can be a series of managers and plugins and all that kind of stuff. And um, let me actually go ahead and, which one should I show first? Yeah, let's show that first. I wanted to really show my dialogue engine too. I don't think you've seen that, but heard about
Yeah,
it.
I think I have.
So, oh, you know what? We'll show Forgefront, because that is one that you've known about. Remember Overforged? I tried building with this was like,
Oh, overcooked, but for forging, like
yeah, this was
blacksmithing.
like 10 years ago when I started using Playmaker. Actually, I was pretty proud of where I got with Playmaker.
Maker. Wow, you're right.
Um, if I were Playmaker right now, I would be like, where do you belong in the world? Um, Let me go to So right now I'm calling, well, it's in this project called Forge Front, but actually I'm calling it the Anvil Brigade. This is a kind of a fork. Oh no, it's appeared on me. Hold on. I might click it, it disappears. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, see what I have.
On stream.
Okay. So yeah, so a lot of times now when I think about, like when I want to build something, like it's only me, and I like to kind of think of like more like a toolkit, or you'll see another one, my Craft Heroes a studio kind of tool set. Let me move my thing down here so I can see what. So in here, basically, what we have is actually, let me open a different scene. This work. Yeah. Yeah, these are some AI generated kind of worlds. So that's the great thing for a proxy layout. That's all I need. So what I'll do is I'll say, and actually I had a game doc for this originally when I built it with Playmaker, and basically I fed everything in there, gave it strict rules of like what I wanted to do with it, how I wanted to do it, and so everything's proxy, but everything's a prefab too. So I can just go in and basically just plug in a different, final art as I'm building it. It makes my life a whole lot easier. I don't have to go through and create prefabs. I don't have to create shaders. This is the conjunction where I use Claude Code. I think it was Claude Code, and I used Unity's AI assistant. I had two AI agents running at the same time, doing two totally different things. Because you could have Claude looking at a Unity project, which is really interesting. I don't know if you'd find it interesting, but it will build a Unity project instance without it actually running on your machine and running everything. So it's really like, I was kind of like thinking like, am I in like 2030 right now? This is crazy. But so it's able to generate all this stuff. But what I do is like, I need a whole project built out. And as I do it, I need basically a toolkit. I need, item creator, and go in here. Uh, So basically, I can create a new item. I can say what kind of item it is. Hopefully, you guys can see the drop downs, right? Oh, you can't.
Now the drop downs.
Oh,
But I see the base thing there. Yeah, you got basically like a little wizard to help generate.
Where it says supply, I can tell, is it ore? Is it metal, wood, weapon part, finished part? All kinds of different things. You can say the production state, the raw process. Everything. If you're thinking about building an overcooked game but using medieval weapons, so you take ore, you have to smelt it. Machine here too. You've got different stations. You've got this one is the wood pile, so I can grab wood from there.
Mm-hmm.
This one is the ore pile. This is the smelter, the furnace, and this is the anvil and the assembly bench. So basically, you take wood. This is the lathe. So you shape the handle with wood, and so I pick everything, and it's got all the functionality built into it. You've got my players right. Well, players actually aren't. Their spawns are right there. And I can quickly test it. But the nice thing, is like I have a whole toolkit, so I don't have to go through, your typical way. You would create probably a different like actual script file or some kind of JSON file full of this data and reference that with your code. For me, I am a stupid visual person. I want to see colors and clicky buttons. I even went through and gave it a style guide. If you can't really,
I was going to say this feels like a professional, like.
But one of the things I say too is like, because the bowler hat, like, I may not be the only person that works on this. I might have someone come on as a contractor. And I want to make sure it reads easy, that it looks good. Really cool thing in here is, it's not here. I have to find it. I even have it's got a GitHub repo for this as well. It even has a whole user guide on how to use everything in here. But one of the things I say is when I have any kind of tab in here, you need a dummies guide on how to use everything in here.
Oh wow!
So you can go in and one, there's a character customization So I've got a Blender plugin too that works on this as well. But you can build recipes because you have items, but then you use those items to go into recipes, and I can create recipes different items. I tag different stations that items or recipes need. And then the really cool thing is I can go into a level editor and I can say on this level, I want to have a sword, a battle axe, and a fire wand. And so I say, generate me every component needed to do that level. So it's going to look at those recipes and it's going to say, we need an ore pile, a furnace, this, and this. It then brings those prefabs into the level. And now I can move all that stuff around the level without having to drag it in manually. It's all hooked up. Everything speaks to each other. It has spawn points for everything. In here too, one of the cool things I actually am doing different than from what my original idea is that it's not just a game of like, of smelting and all that kind of stuff. You have to deliver the weapons to heroes in the game. And so the other element of it too is like now I gotta go like there's combat in there as well. So all that's built into it. I can say what heroes I want to have into a level, how big the level I want it to be. Funny thing though is I told it to kind of use Overcooked as a inspiration. And actually, this is the local world map it built. But again, I can go there's an editor for this, and I can say how many points do I want to have, and I can go kind of back and readjust everything. Even if I put everything into an array, I can still grab it. That makes my life so much easier because now I don't have to pull stuff in, drag different, connect different elements together.
Oh, just the minutia, like using the inspector and dragging things, making those connections. Yeah. You can have like your tool does it. You're saying an agent can do that too, using the tool?
The tool does it all. I basically had the agent build that functionality into it.
Wow.
So once I click something, it's basically it's like I look at like clicks. Like I think I told you before. Like I saw 3DRs one time. He would actually go up to the move, rotate, and scale gizmo in 3ds Max and click that tool every time. And I was like, hey, there's a WER that you could be using. He's like, oh, I don't like that. It's like, yeah, but if you keep clicking like that, that's so many lost clicks per day. And over the course of a year, that's like hours of time. And so for me, it's like I want to make sure that I can get something done quickly. When I first met, when you get a little bit of a shout out for Bezzy, they did a great back when we were at Accenture. They did a great kind of showcase to show that. And I didn't even think about it at the time, but imagine in Unity, they're like the power of it was you could tell Bezzy, create me 10 materials all in the different color of the rainbow and name them all based off the color and put them into a special folder named this, and it did it within 10 seconds. And if you had to go and create a material in Unity, you have to right click, go to material.
That take me like 5 minutes at least.
It says new material. You got to like F2 to rename. You got to pick the color. Hope you're picking the right color. Hope you're not colorblind or just bad at colors. All that kind of stuff. And that's really where I see a lot of this, the tools that I'm building, and I'm trying to encourage people to think about like whatever your craft is, even from a developer. Like if there are things that like allow you to like the stuff that you really like to do, but is there kind of just the tedious like clicking and organizational stuff that you could be utilizing that for. So this project's actually coming along pretty well. I've got my other build that's got some gameplay and everything built in. This is kind of just like my I made it to see if it would break, and so far it hasn't broken. Is there anything else in here?
It's impressive.
I might have had,
that's very cool.
The other thing is, and I'm working more on something else with it. I know there was Roberto in the chat, and he was talking about QA, and it'll be interesting, I think. So I'm looking at ways that I can. It already does it. When I do some like HTML web games, Codex and Claude will both do kind of like test. They'll do kind of like a smoke test to basically see will anything lock up, will anything blow up, essentially, and even do like I'm trying to think of the best word for it, but almost like a persona for a player. And it'll say, okay, based on an average, like this, this many strikes per second, and this many enemies, we were able to get to level 2, to wave 2.
Wow.
And so what I'm trying to look at is I want to, for a game like this, and especially the other one I'll show in a sec, is build out rule sets of like what different kind of players are like this player makes this many moves, or this is the kind of the attitude they have. So lock that in. And so then what I want to do is once I have a level built, say, okay, go in QA as a hardcore gamer. or a cozy gamer, whatever those personas are. And it's not necessarily the goal to take over QA all the way, but it's again, do it overnight. Here's 5 levels, do a test for these 5 levels overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've been doing too, a lot of times, because I was saying in the chat, I do a lot of overnight stuff. I give it, I usually give like a markdown file of instructions, and I let it run endlessly. So it'll just run until it's done. And what I'll usually ask for in the morning is like, give me a whole report of everything you did. Give me a proficiency rating of how you felt like you did on each thing. Were there errors on things? How many times did you have to redo something? But I was thinking like with QA is like, yeah, give me a report in the morning. Give me a whole rundown of everything that you ran into. And it's not going to replace QA, but it's now, if I had someone in QA, say, I had a contractor, I could give that report to them, say, look, AI did 40%, whatever percentage of your job. And these are the things that it found a lot of. Some of it might be BS, some of it might be helpful. But now you're not shooting blind. But they should go in and and really kind of resolve some of those things.
It's like QA can build a test plan and attack things normally, and that works. But things usually don't survive first contact with the public. So, and if you could have multiple agents running dozens or hundreds of iterations with different variations on how they approach it and how they move around, it's like getting early like faux feedback testing from like fake users. And you can use that to then focus. All right, this issue comes up a lot. Let's drill down to this and see if we can find out what the steps are to reproduce it, and then they can put that in their official report.
It's blind QA. I feel like with a little bit of like maybe a little bit of that blind stick, they can feel around a little bit, but it's not going to replace it 100%. But from an indie, solo, low cost development, again, yeah, it's like I can just set it and forget it, like a Ronco grill overnight, and then wake up in the morning and be like, okay, yeah, I screwed up. I added this feature was not fun, or they found that it was taking too long to get from point A to B, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's not even it's QA, but it's also it's kind of like what I have in here, validation. It's like give it instruction for what I want metrics for, and then give me the information back. But I know a lot of people are going to see doom and gloom that and say, oh well, we don't need we don't need Q anymore. We don't need these people anymore. It's like you do, but I think that you're probably going to have the days of having 2,000 person teams on a AAA game are probably a little absurd just because how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we found it wasn't until really I worked at Accenture that I saw how much just production costed, and I don't think a lot of game industry people see that because they're so shielded. Unless you're in the actual production side, you don't see that, and so. But I think once people can start seeing, and studios can start experimenting and experiencing it too, you can do a lot and still have a quality product. You're still gonna have all the studios that are gonna, we're gonna do all of our concept art with, Midjourney, and we're gonna replace all their programmers with ChatGPT, which that'll be they'll probably make more money if they record their dev process. They'll probably make more money off social media of the failure than what their game would actually make. That would actually, I'm going to keep that as an idea because that might be a funny little YouTube channel of dumb people using AI games.
Seeing the internals of it, because a lot of people, like you said, like they don't know how to make games and they don't know what any of it is, but like showing the steps you do across along the way can like help them be like, oh, I wouldn't have thought to approach it this way, and oh, they do run into issues. This is why games take too long, or this is why design is important, or QA is important, or this and that's important.
So this is that validator too. So this is just like a quick, like you can little things like this level needs player spawn blah 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 here or there, and you can say do it. It's a whoopsies, I forgot to do this. But again, if you're running by yourself and you've got your head going in 20 different directions, it's a nice it's a grocery list of things I might have forgotten. And so there's playtest as well in here.
Oh wow.
There is I create a level, an actual level is a level design guide. So as you play it, it tells you how to actually build levels. So again, if I want to bring somebody in, I want to have the tools to be able to have them do that. And so again, I get giddy with stuff like this because I love just being able to document and have things work, and it's problem solving. So Okay, so there's that one. Close that one too. My RAM. And then the other one, actually. Let me go. Stop me if you guys have anything you want to ask questions or talk about, because again, I can talk to my reflection and not have any hangups. Where's that chat?
It's so cool, and it's kind of inspiring me to like look into stuff, because having that project infrastructure while you're building something, there's a lot of times I want things like that to just help, build out levels or build out scripts or like rapidly produce, like the randomization system we had on Sempra. Like I would have been able to do something like more robust if I had AI can do that, and like here are all the parameters we could think of. How like little system we could randomize parts of these. Like that would have been really cool.
Not to offend anybody that's religious, but I feel like if we would have had the capabilities between me and you when we first started out the XR division, we would have been gods. Because I mean, it's the whole reason I push people and companies to use this is the fail faster mentality of that's what I've been doing with all these prototypes I have is get it to a certain point, get a few levels made. It's going to look ugly, but play it. And what fails, what sucks. And if it's, and I even said like an earlier chat with Roberto and whatnot is, it's I was trained for game development is to make things out of board games. So if you have an idea, say whatever it may be, make it to a board game. Even if if you're what the one of the early ones I made, my players were pennies. I was a poor college student, so I had one piece of foam board, a marker, and pennies, and we used our imagination because we were art students. And we tested it to make sure, does the movement work? Does the turns based work? Does the power, all those kind of things. You can simulate that in a board game design. And if that works, if it's fun, then take it to the next level. Then, and the exact example I have next is something that was originally a board game. It was a multiplayer game. And I'm going much different with it than what they originally had. I'm going more story based, and I'm actually trying to add in what do you call it? Deck builders. Yeah, where you have the cards, kind of like Play the Spire, things like that. Still working on the card portion. That's a headache, but I can share my screen.
Okay, it's funny you mentioned that board game thing because I went to Full Sail University for my bachelor's degree in game development and graduated in 2008. And they had one of the things they suggested was paper prototyping, which basically is make it a board game. Like you don't need to code anything yet. You can just lay out your rules and then walk through it on a tabletop. You can use paper, you can use Legos, you can use cups and like whatever's around you. Like use it and just make sure that those rules and that gameplay loop kind of makes sense and feels good first, and then you can rule out a lot of things and hone in on what you do before you write any code or like build the assets.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it definitely helps a ton. I think that a lot of companies, when I worked at Terminal, we did this. We were in between projects. Oh, I should probably share what I have. I'm like an idiot. This was a really cool concept of, and again, so my paper version. Well, this was a paper version. We actually had when we were Terminal, someone came up with this idea. Go anywhere, and the idea was that you had these kind of like Rubik's Cube kind of 3-tiered boxed characters that you could have you had each side had a different kind of character face. So you had head, body, feet, and you could twist each part to do different things. But the cool thing was each part has a different function. So your legs determine how far you can move in the direction that face is facing. So say I want to move straight. I've got the warrior's body. Well, he can't move very far at all. And so, but like let's say, and then in the middle was attack. A warrior can only attack so much in front of him, whereas a ranger can shoot, distance. And so the thing is, you can go through and I don't know, can I?
Like during your turn, you could rotate like a piece a certain amount of times, or that you change your strategy for the next turn.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
Hello.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
Oh, I got caught up with another meeting. Sorry.
That's all right. Well, you dock your pay. $20. Yeah. So what cool idea, but I was like, I want to be able to validate it. So rather than, I saw it being tested on paper. It was neat, but the next step was HTML. And I actually became a really big fan of using HTML because with AI, you could have it generate HTML games super quick rather than getting into Unity and having to build up a whole project and having, my hub has hundreds of projects in it. And that's a lot of, every time you create a new project, it creates space on your hard drives. It's annoying, especially if they're duds. But with HTML, it's so quick with WebGL, with, PJS, all those kind of viewers, web graphics are actually pretty powerful, especially for prototyping. So basically I said, I want to build it. I gave an exact, I wrote a whole game doc on how this game works. I've been working on it for a while too. Trying to figure out how do I describe this to a child? And then I said, but more than just a one-shotting game, like what we were talking about earlier, like with all these people saying, I just made GTA 6. Like I need an editor. I need a way to go in and, go in and like say, I want to change the terrain, or I want to, put a wall or tree. Granted, it's a horrible tree, but now, the gameplay should have it where certain things of a certain height take more movement, obviously going up versus down. But I wanted a way to really test it and and even share it with other people. This is on my GitHub, so obviously I think it should be public.
Man, as a fan of the HeroScape game, I'm getting major vibes from of that. That's really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, so the cool thing is like it works. I was playing through it. Was it something that I could put on Steam right away? Hell no. It didn't have enough legs. But it to me is like, okay, I got an idea now. And so I went through and I was like, I started adding features. I want to have customization. I want to do all kinds of things in here. Everything I can think of. Like I want to be able to go and create my own, upload my own artwork, my own heads, my own bodies. In this version, it has abilities, but there's no abilities actually tied to anything. But it's all there just as flavor text. But then I want to be able to build different enemies and character builds so that I can build my own characters. So like, imagine playing level 1, you're just a farmer. So every side would be the same face because you're only a party of 1. But as you gain new people, maybe you get, on opposing side, you go to farm, or you could load it out. Maybe that I want to have the farmer here and here. And on the other side, I want to have the ranger. And then as you get more people, you could have like 2 or 3 of these cubicle characters. So you could have a ton of different players. The same way with enemies. Enemies could be the same thing. You could have a goblin shaman and a goblin warrior on the same little character. And so we originally had built it for multiplayer, so 2 people playing together. But I think that there's a waste. I think there's a really good narrative element to this to tell a cool story. And another thing in here. Go to this. It's on this side. No, it's this side. I'm like, I want to change the size of the map. I can just do it like that. So right now it's outdoor map, but I was going to get to next is that I took the whole repo, I gave it to I think it was Codex. I get between Claude and Codex, I use them so much interchangeably, and I said, hey, here's the HTML game, make it to a Unity project, without even having Unity open. It spun up a Unity project, and made an instance of it, and basically created everything we needed within a Unity project. And I said, make sure I have an editor, I have all the tools, and I'll stop sharing this. And I will share. I will share this. Craft Heroes. So in Craft Heroes, I have this is just another, I have a multiple branches of stuff. This is my much stuff away. Combat. Where are we at here? Oh. Well, I could search forever for it. It's in here somewhere. We'll go here to the studio. So basically the same thing. Instead of a toolkit, I had it build me a studio tool. And so I can do things like I can create abilities for different things, but I can also say, like, again, in here, this is the user. So what would that tell me?
You define the affected area.
Yeah, I can go in here and do. I started doing this. I got very much Gloomhaven vibes of like the rules of like, okay, do we need a ruler now to like, tell? But I have, again, you can't really see the drop downs. Nope. I can tell to do, is this an enemy, a self, an ally? What's the pattern? It has cone, single, self, straight line, cross, radius, anything I can think of for any. And I was like, look, I don't want to have to like basically I want as many options as possible, even if I might not use 70% of them, but it's just there. Because again, what if I give it to a game designer and they're like, hey, I got a cool idea. It's in there for them to do. And all kinds of little stuff in there. Again, going into, you've got ability ally, you've got the hero forge. Again, now I can build different heroes. I can control what different faces they have. The face lab, I can have different kinds of faces. So one of the ideas I had is that even though you might have, like, say, a farmer, maybe depending on the action of the game, he can go from brave to scared. So now his stats change based on that face. An ability, or like poisoned, like if you poison him now, his face changes. He's green and he looks like he's sick. And now he, maybe his power ups he had don't work the same way. Again, building tools so that if I just get a crazy idea at any point in the day and I'm like, I really want to do this, it's in there. And that's really the whole thing. I've been, trying to preach the good word of just like tools. Ability lab, motion lab, a lot of labs, encounters. These are more like levels and whatnot, and more validation stuff. So, really don't. I thought I had a test level in here.
Just baked, or you have to do it in runtime?
Maybe you're right. I thought I had one here where I could edit. I had a build error earlier too. Oh no, because I should be able to edit the.
Oh,
yeah, there's something going on. Oh, you know what? I bet you that's what it is. I'm an idiot. Oh, I thought it was just zoomed in too far.
oh, is that really just nothing and it spawns everything on app start?
That's weird. It shouldn't be doing that. Okay. Well, I had a console. It tried to go into safe mode, and I tried to fix it. I bet you, because I do have the world building tools in here. So if I wanna, oh yeah, it's not loading the board. That's why. Oh well. Yeah, in here it built all the prefabs, everything, so I can just go in, replace that, whatever art I want to do. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So, okay. So that, oh, my computer is so happy to close down all these different instances of stuff now. Oh yeah, Kevin, this is for you actually. Well, not for you, but you might appreciate it. So for the Amble Brigade, it's kind of like, it's a, I say it's Weeble Wobble people with no legs, floating hands, and a head, because I don't want to have to rig anything, because the rigging sucks. I have a tool in here basically I can model. I can actually select polygons. Go in here and select that polygon and say, make it pink. And so what I do then is I export this out. And you got me thinking whenever you posted your thing about the gradient tool,
Yeah.
the HTML gradient tool. So we're kind of on the same wavelength here. But what happens is I can alter the colors in here too as well. It exports out a PNG file that I bring into Unity. And now basically just kind of like if you've seen Cinti, or the Polygon series for Unity or Unreal, it's those kind of low poly looking characters and scenes. A lot of the artwork they make is based off a giant atlas color palette texture. And so it's an easy way I can go now and just click the polygons and don't have to worry about texturing or using substance and all that kind of stuff. So I always say a lazy artist is a good artist. And then of course I have a tool in here too that I can basically select any part in here. I can select body. Theo, you know me. I always hate figuring out which direction is Y.
Yeah.
So I have a validator in here that takes my model and positions it correctly for me. So when I export it out in Engine, it does it. So again, another kind of proficiency kind of tool. And Codex just knocked it out of the ballpark for that. Of course, I showed you guys last week or last month was my turning Blender into 3ds Max. I'm not gonna bend. I've been using this heavily, and I've got more stuff in here. I'm trying to work on getting, but yeah, it's
You expanded it a lot since last time. Good job.
it has been glorious. I've been cursing less. So yeah. Okay. So let's see what else I have on my agenda. I have the other biggest thing I have really is what I call Quest Weaver. And this was kind of again, it was like that whole conversation people are having about like how does a game studio put AI into a game, into like a narrative game, into they even talked about this too. Like imagine like an MMO that a village will change its attitude or its intelligence based on what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but like if they use AI to do that, every time someone does a call to an AI agent, it's going to cost money. And so the economics of it is, so say I made a World of Warcraft and I wanted to use AI to like, do narrative and all that kind of stuff. I would have to charge so much a month, pay for server cost development, and just AI tokens probably would cost more depending on, some people that are just like hardcore, like I want to talk to every single NPC 5,000 times. Or you do a one-time cost of $5,000. That's the most expensive game. Starship Citizen's got its run for its money. So I started thinking about. I built a web version, obviously, but I am working on a Unity version, and it's more about the installable, really. For this example, I've got. I'll share it quick too. Try to think of really cool names too. I've been trying to work this into Unity as a full build, but the idea is that I have Docker running, multiple. And here you have drop downs. You have Gemma 4, which is going to be. These aren't great to use for games necessarily, probably, is because how much it takes to run them. But there's different versions in here. But I put them in here to kind of see the results. Using Quinn 2.5, it's 0.4 of a gigabyte. The responses sound like a third grader that's been hasn't had sleep for a few days. It was horrible literature and writing. In this case, what happens is let's say that we build our own MMO. We've got our NPC. We're going to call him Aaron Tolch. And the first quest they have for you is a sunken bell. What you do is you go in here and you basically give flavor text. You actually have someone that can write, that understands narrative, D&D, whatever, that has interesting elements. They write what the flavor text of the story is. But in here as well, you also want to give the NPC their own kind of who they are, what they are. And then of course in here you have rules, things that can't be broken. This is more of like the technical behind the game developer kind of codes, not code, but just elements in here. You give, and these are just prompt injections that you're giving the LLM of what to follow. These are the fun things. This is the adult stuff. And so with that, then what you go into here, you can actually take and make your own. There are presets. You've got your character's name, what gender, what race, class, level, all that. And in here you've got presets. You can kind of slide like their factions based on faction ratings based on these different kind of factions, like any game, Morrowind, all that. And then you even have kind of like tags of who this person is, and then of course you can even put in more custom stuff in here. Let's do this too. Let's change it up. We'll do a dwarf, do necromancer. And so what happens then is we're going to give it a minute because it's got to spin up. I don't think I have it running on all the time. But basically, it's going to spin up Gemma. It takes like a minute. And what it's going to do is it takes all of this information and takes our original flavor text and will start to actually build a custom response. So the idea is that if you have a character, I have a character. I'm a necromancer. You're a paladin. You're a bastard. You kill everything, but I'm like the nice necro. You're the horrible paladin. When you go to talk to Marin, you're going to get within the constraints of the quest, but it's going to be personalized to you, saying like, oh, or for me, it's like, oh yeah, you're the hero of the village. You saved everybody the other day, and you've been in the war. But not so robotic like that, but it's a custom response so that when you're playing the game, it feels more unique to you. And I feel like for a lot of MMOs, because we were just talking to someone like, I would love to play an MMO, I just don't think I have the time, but also they feel so robotic still.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably like that next evolution of it. And so the idea is then like, yeah, unless you have your own server farm of AI, in your own company, like it's just going to cost so much damn money to run that. And so the idea then is like, is there a way that you could have something like Gemma 4 or other models installed when you install your game, your MMO, whatever, does it install that on your machine as well? It's all local. So the nice thing about it is it never goes outwards. It doesn't, your game, your response is kept personal to you. So give it a little bit more, actually. I think it's
I like that it factors in the because I never played EverQuest, but I know that the racial factions will behave differently if like you're a human going into Troll Town or something. Sometimes they're like attack on sight, sometimes they're just unfriendly. So having it be a little more than that, like it can recognize the kind of quests that you've done, and it knows generally what kind of player you've been. Would make it definitely feel like, because a lot of times you skip the text of it. Some people will just think, I just want to play this and skip through. I just want to get to the quest. It's like, no, they're actually replying to you, and you're what they say to you, what they say to me are going to be different. And I don't know if the quest changes at all, but like how they lead me into it would be a cool way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, EverQuest is why I played EverQuest heavily, and even World of Warcraft and all those. But like, it's what I think it would be interesting is that I hate min-maxing. I hate guides. I would love for it to be something where people, like that first time whatever your first MMO was. I know everybody's different, but that first experience you had when you talked to the NPC and you're like, oh my God, he told me to kill 5 rats. This feels so magical. And after you've slain a dragon or done, your level 80 stuff, you're like, everything feels cold and lifeless. After
you start to see the mechanics. You don't see. Yeah. It's like the opposite of the Matrix code. You stop seeing the people and you start seeing the code. Like, oh, okay, this is a quest giver, and this is a response. Yeah.
And I mean, the same way people sometimes play, some single player games back, they want to play it differently. Let's say playing Baldur's Gate. I'm going to be a good guy this time. I'm going to be a bad guy. Something like this might encourage more people to play through multiple times or different characters, or to really think about their character. Imagine if you're playing in a game with other, with a player versus player, or a community. If you do something and you piss me off, I could maybe label you and give you tags. So now you're the jerk. You're the guy that always, ninja loots or something, or you drop out a lot, whatever. Your reputation has an effect on how your game goes. The next evolution of it is, me and you both go to the same NPC, and instead of asking us both to get 5 rats, what if I'm a really good guy and they're like, you know what, just smile. You're good. Meanwhile, for you, it's like, go get 20 rats, bastard. Like, you suck. Like, it's changing the difficulty up to a certain scale. You don't want to punish someone like horribly, but like, depending on what you do now, the game is unpredictable then. And so but I know a lot of people are, oh, you're replacing writers and game designers. No, I think if anything, you need to start even thinking more about it. A game designer needs to start thinking about, what is my min max? What are my values between these different things so that they, it follows my guide, but now you get so much more uniqueness to it. And so, yeah, in this case, like, so let's I mean, this is what I love. Now, obviously, if you're talking to it, you would only get like this main part. We have a lot of other stuff in here. This is some of my the data, so I can actually understand why it's doing what. It explains to me why it gave what it did. I don't know why I did a dwarf necromancer. That's the weirdest combo. But let's say we did a rogue undead and we made them enemy of the hated by the ground. Yeah, we're making the weirdest character ever. A horrible thief rogue. And we'd actually be able to compare. It should actually go a little bit faster this time. But the other cool thing in here you can see is someone had mentioned like load on the GPU while running the model. And actually, Tom actually I think he was the one talking about that. I think I showed it to him. I built this visualizer that basically I can go in here and load. I can basically throw a bunch of polygons to the GPU and basically simulate like what a level load might, not a true level load, but a polygon load while running.
So you don't want to impact the rendering of the game while it's crunching the model.
I might have broken it actually. Let's see if that works.
It looks like it's just got tokens, yeah. I mean, like placeholders.
Yeah. I've never actually, I should probably not do that. I've never actually done that hardcore with it. But this is the first time I've got a bug. But yeah, the main thing is like,
there we go.
There we go.
That looks more legit.
Yeah, so it probably doesn't like when I go 100% or I did too many things min-maxed. But yeah, so now like if we look here, it's like totally different response. And I think, I'm not going to solve it. This isn't, I'm not going to be able to make this perfect, but I think that the more people that see this and more studios to see this, I think there's an approach to it, and it's, for me, it's like going into Unity is my next kind of task of making a Unity project and installer, which that's something I've never done before. But how do you what's the best route to getting something like Gemma installed? I can get the bridge between Gemma and Unity to work, but it's is like right now you need to have Docker loaded to run that, or I guess you could do LM Studio. But how do you all do that? And then like I guess you got to make sure they have Python, and there's a whole lot of like requisites of stuff. But how do you do that seamlessly? And also, how do you make sure people don't think that a Terminator is coming to take their computer, freak out? It would be. I feel like that's the challenge I always want to put out to people smarter than me, that know that stuff more, because I feel like I could, even using AI, I could probably waste a day or two trying to figure it out. And I'm sure someone like probably like you could figure it out in like no time. But I think that it would be interesting to see Game Studio try that, because I think that's like the next evolution of personalized,
responsive world to the player, like making them feel not just a player in a set piece, but like an actual inhabitant that where they actually react to what you're doing.
Yeah. Cool thing is you can have a character.
I think if you're able to like front load it, like compiling shaders, like if you can get the option to be like, hey, I want to make this, like, I want to update the dialogue in all of Skyrim really quick to just be about like what my character's actually about, and any custom modifiers you want to put in there, and then just hit go and then walk away for a while. Like
that'd
be cool.
That's one of the things I was working on, because I was trying to figure out like, and that's what I'm doing in Unity, is I'm building kind of like a zone where I have different NPCs, and I was trying to figure out what's the best way to do. Obviously you don't have the ability. Your model would have to be loaded and like warmed up and ready to shoot the second someone talks to it. And even then, there's still a little bit of lag. So the idea is that there's volumes or kind of any kind of detector, like within maybe when you enter a certain vicinity of them, now they're generating based off of that, preloading it essentially. Because depending on the kind of game, what if you have 100 NPCs in one zone? If you do that before the game even started, you're like downloading GTA 6 on PlayStation on 56K. But yeah, so I mean, I think there's a lot of work to be done on it, but I think people have been asking about it, and so it's like this is my creative technologist, tech artist kind of stab at it. But I guarantee you a more AI focused or actual dev could figure out the logistics of it. And for
Maybe it
me
comes
too,
down
like
to having. Sorry, maybe it comes down to having like some more generic dialogue, but you can have the option to go into more advanced dialogue, which would trigger like AI.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
really wanted
yeah.
to
That's what I'm
dig
thinking. Like
into
if there's a way
the,
if you could chunk it out too, like
yeah,
rather than writing it 100% unique every time, maybe you have like chunks of preloaded 20 variations of that conversation on a range or 10 based on 1 to 10 of how good or bad you are. There's all kinds of ways you could dumb it down but still make it unique so that you could play it 10 times and get a different response every time. Yeah, totally. I might give that a try too. My whole thing is I'm kind of tired of I just want something unique. I want something that I don't have to. I played EverQuest so many times, and I got to the point where I don't want to do this quest. I know the exact same stuff I'm gonna get every time, but I would like to be, kind of like the logic of like how Fable, back in the day, Fable 1. The dialogue wasn't definitely necessarily different, but your visual, look was, and so why can't we have that dialogue? Why can't we have that with gameplay?
I totally agree. We do some like narrative stuff at work, like choices. It's like this kind of girly game. It's a bit older now, and they tried doing AI stuff for it, and it didn't really hit with that in particular audience. But getting that kind of like narrative control and that uniqueness through dialogue is, I mean, it sounds like the dream, dude. So I hope you can figure it out.
I'm gonna start simple. We'll
Yeah.
just do I feel like if you can get something like a visual novel type of element or something like that, but something it's focusing less on the visuals and more on the experience. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I am trying to weave it in. I don't. I haven't shown it. I don't have anything not great looking, but I'm trying to I'm merging EverQuest and Animal Crossing together. I figured out a way to do the Animal Crossing curved world shader.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
So, but it's like the cutest big small world you've ever seen.
Mhm.
And I want to bring in this dialogue tool into the project. Well, I do, but I want to make sure it works properly. But maybe I'll show that next month.
Sounds like fun.
That's my main things. What did I have else on my agenda to talk about?
I hope to see a procedural Animal Crossing voice happening with all that dialogue as well. It does the cute little chirps and stuff as they talk.
That could go really awesome, but nightmare fuel of like, what did it? All I can think of is was it Black Mirror, the one where like the game of little cute little thing. I think it was Black Mirror. Black Mirror? Yeah, like these cute little like AI characters ended up like becoming a sentient being, and they just made little chirp noises, but they ended up like taking the whole world over and like programming people. It was like that's what I imagined coming out of that. But yes, yeah, that would be that's what I feel like. We're talking about like with the Xbox stuff and just all the games and studios in general. It's like you got to do something different. Not to be like it's easy to say that from not being in the studios, but it's like to tell you like the games I've been playing are the games I've been wanting to build lately. Like cozy games or friend swap games. I played we played Astroneer like crazy. I still play it. It's simple games you can get into, and so a lot of these huge games are like it's a make it or break it type mentality. And the cost of them are just getting insane, and so they've got to do something to kind of change up their whole production cost. So, um, yeah, let me see. There's a dialogue. I was gonna try to show it. We went to me and my family went to a water park. Actually, went to Schlitterbahn down in New Braunfels. I don't know if you've been there before, Theo. Near
It's
Austin,
Been a long time, man. Holy cow.
and it was hot. It was good. But again, it was nice. Not I was away from the computer mostly. I still have my phone. I wanted to do another test with Claude. So what I did is I love my Super Nintendo. I still have it. Actually, I have my little mini Super Nintendo hooked up in the main room still too. I love A Link to the Past. Like my favorite Zelda. Oh well, okay. I'm not going to say that quite yet. Link's Awakening and Link to the Past have equal love in my heart. Right there, Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. But I gave I wanted to do a Jackbox type game where you have a room code and basically you have a host. What happens is I gave it the sprite sheets for all the characters. I gave it a sprite sheet for the environment. And I said, build me a arena based game using the outdoor overworld or the normal world tile set. And here are all the enemies. Here's Link. I need 6 different variations of Link. It went through and extracted the sprites, made the animations, even colorized each variation, each 6. So it did like blue, red, violet, blah, 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 all that stuff. And it built a whole world. It built a camera system, an attack system, a power ups, all that kind of stuff. So as long as you're on the same Wi-Fi, I tried getting it so you could connect anywhere, but the net code for that was horrible. Without having to spin up an extra node server or something like that, I just wanted something where I could host on I want to hit host on my phone, and other people connect with me. So we got it working on just local Wi-Fi, and so up to 6 people can play together, run around, hack and slash. You can get the Master Sword, you can get a bow and arrow, you can get a fire wand, and basically there's waves of enemies coming at you. And that was a one-shot game. But the point of it was neat. A little bit. I'm not going to go back and play it. Like it kind of lost its value. Or maybe if I do, it'll be another. Like we'll play it in 6 months, from now. Like, oh, I remember that time we did that. But it's like that's the kind of the thing is like, oh, it was cool for a little bit. It was neat that I did it, but it it's what actually do I have it?
I was wanting to hit you up about that because it looked awesome. I made that Pokemon knockoff game with an asset pack called Ninja Adventure, and it's based on old school Zelda. So I figured if you wanted to utilize a CC0 asset pack and redo the art for it, you can actually post it up and people can play with it.
Well,
Hey.
the whole reason I'm using Nintendo scares me. If Nintendo ever watches this, I love you guys, but they scare the crap out of me. So this will never. I'm probably going to take it down a little bit too, but this will probably never. I'm sharing.
This is so cool.
So yeah, basically it went. So it's funny at first. Link in that game, his hair was pink. So at first Claude was like, "There's an error with because it thought sometimes sprite sheets have a pink background."
Oh,
It's like there's an error.
error color.
Robertson, and it looked back and it's like, "Whoops, I was wrong. That's the color of his hair. Weird." And so but what it did then is like, look, I need to have variation of it, and so it actually went through and edited each of the. I didn't have to do any of it. As an artist, like, ooh, that's neat. As a developer, that saved me. I wasn't gonna be able to do that on my phone, in a cabin, in a water park. It did it for me right then and there, and that was nice. So, yeah, for this, you have the you can even do a QR code. It makes it a lot easier than trying to share, a code and a URL. But I can, basically, I can either, if I put this on like a computer or a TV, it'll just be the host seeing everything and everybody running around like idiots. Or as the host, I can go in here and play real quick. Now, funny thing is, you're going to see it got the run animations backwards on the left and right.
Yeah, that's a lot though for
it's weird. It some of this is a little weird. Like the green splotches. Oh, there's the Master Sword. Shoots the Master Sword. That's what the Master Sword does, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I learned this when I made Pikmon with a very similar tile set. Is that a guy told me he got motion sick when he was playing it because the camera constantly moved to track the character. So I ended up making like a little invisible safe zone for the character to run around in the middle of
That's
the
usually
screen.
what I've been doing. Yeah, basically have a
Ah.
rubber band
Budget.
effect. Yeah, for
Yeah,
this.
This is so
Yeah.
cool.
And so it even did this. Like it allowed me to go behind. It did the fading behind.
I saw. Yeah, as you go behind
I
obstacles,
don't know
that's
why I did it
cool.
with rocks.
It's
That's
cool.
weird, but so
It's
the other
ongoing.
thing is, it has a scoreboard. So the whole point of it, as there's other people here on the side, as you're playing as a group, you can be like, I have the highest score. Why am I not attacking?
Taking damage turns you red and flickers. Yeah, it's cool. It knows to do that.
Oh, that's what I got here. And the other cool thing is here. I'll grab this real quick. Even has a cooldown to show you how long you have. Where's it at?
Up in the top
Mobile.
left, there's a master
So
and the
it's,
countdown.
on mobile, it's a lot easier to see, but up here it basically tells you how long you have. And of course, you can dash, which that always kills me really quick. So first version, it only gave you like 2 hearts, and it was
Impossible.
like Benny Hill. It was horrible. So, but yeah, I mean, again, it was a fun little experiment of just like giving it rules, conditions. Can you do this? Can you extrapolate this content? Can you then design something? I had to go back and give it a lot of like kind of like this or that. I couldn't figure out how to. It probably just, but I didn't put enough time into it. But like those little green splotches, that there were no sprites that represent those splotches. That was like a weird artifacting issue. And of course, I forgot to give it the prompt of like switch your left and right sprites because you're running backwards. But I've been using this for 5-6 years now, AI in all kinds of forms, and so seeing where we were at, like I would have never imagined, even 2 years ago that I'd be able to have it do something like this.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
So it's been a blast, especially if you have ideas or an ADHD and you want to just get ideas out there and validate or having it on your phone. That's why I tell a lot of people just like I don't think the NSA or anybody's gonna. Maybe they are hacking your stuff, but like just having it on your phone at any point means that there's any time you have an idea, you just go through it, and it can generate something for you, and then go back to it later. So for me, that's been a huge thing to validate whenever I'm traveling or if I'm doing something on the couch with the family or whatnot. So that's what I got. So what do you guys? I could talk for another hour. It's my job, literally. Kevin knows my job is to go and talk as much as I can to people. So I'm
fun.
pretty good at it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's what we did at Accenture, pretty much.
Oh,
Just had
yeah.
to dance. You know what? This is actually crazy. I've got 3 different eras of my career. People I've worked with. I worked with Chris back at Terminal, and you, and now with Kevin. Huh. I
Whole
only
work
had
history.
I worked with before I was in Missouri. That'd be weird. Yeah, I was gonna say, Kevin, did you want to show any of the stuff you had? I know you showed
Again, yeah.
stuff right now. Go for it.
I'm here. I'm gonna eat dinner. But I'll
Chow down, man. Yeah, so let me just share my screen. So there's a lot of different small tools that I like to build for work. Helping some of our design engineers that are doing like room visualizations that don't have modeling shops. So like this is just adding on to that tool set, but this is basically a ring light generator, and you've got little sliders that you can procedurally make all this kind of stuff. You just dial in the size that you want. If you want it to be an oval, you can dial in all that stuff as well. Give it a number of segments if you want it to be chunky or not. And then I also included a sweep tool. So if you wanted to chain together like 30, 60, 90, 180 arcs to make different shapes, you can do that as well. And then give it a profile. So what the actual thickness of that ring is, what the height is, also where the light resides. So instead of it just being on the bottom, maybe I want it to be on the outer diameter. And what this does is the program that we use is Modus, and it's made with Unreal. So basically, it procedurally generates materials inside of Modus, and so I just have a special unwrap formula that they use, that I just told it what it is, and it basically has the different materials already called out. You can set the number of stems and like what the drop length is if you want it to hang down a certain level, and of course stem diameter as well if you want them to be super thin or chunky or whatever.
I want to see a project that has super thin and super long, like three stories, and make sure that thing doesn't sway at all.
Yeah, you can even just get rid of the stem, like if it's going to sit on the ceiling itself. I told it to do things like hide the controls if you don't have it active, so it just kind of cleans up the UI. And then just for fun, there's like a UV checker and wireframe viewport, and then you just hit the export, and it's ready to go for the program that we use. So I've got a whole list of harebrained ideas for random props like this that we do at work, and also stuff in my personal life. I kind of posted this in chat, but this is basically, you've heard of texture atlases and stuff. I'm working on like a PS1 style aesthetic boomer shooter, and so I really wanted to lean into simple color palettes, but I wanted to have gradients as well on this. So basically, I've got this. Just made this with a simple LLM. I think it was Gemini, and you can click on a tile, set its color, and so like you can make, if you want to do different color palettes.
Do you have a color wheel that pops up? I don't think we're seeing it.
Oh yeah, I want
to make sure. I didn't know
on the screen.
Didn't know if you're doing like you're a wizard or something, and your mouth gesture like summons colors.
No, sorry. But yeah, and then you just click the button, and it downloads as a PNG or whatever you want it to do. And basically, here's a simple low poly guy, and if this is just it in action. So if I want to change the color of his suit, I can do that. If I want it to be brighter, or if I want it to have the gradient, maybe it's like a sweater, like just silly stuff like that. So yeah, I can lean into different mood palettes or whatever if I want to do different colors. Just saving that really easy and going from there. But that's kind of it.
Awesome.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, when I saw you had that, I thought of, because I did the color palette tool. My whole thing is I've done so many atlases, but I hate going to UVs and having to select the polygons and then cram them into the palette. I'm like, no, you do it for me. Do it, AI. Do it. And so it does it the easy way. And I mean, again, we're talking about clicks. Like I think if you look from a productivity standpoint, like, and most people are like, oh yeah, it saves 5 clicks. Yeah, it's like, yeah, but if it takes you like 2 or 3 seconds per click, and you start doing the math, like that's a lot of time. And and then also just sanity. I hate clicking buttons, the same button over and over and over. I want different buttons. Yeah, that's awesome to see. That's more stuff like that. That's what I'd love to see. It's like it's just tools, because when I first started out in the game industry, I told you guys before, like getting a developer a tech artist, anybody to like write you a tool was like, I mean,
Mhm.
you could probably get a permit to build a windmill in your backyard easier than getting someone. I always use the getting a color wheel built into our material editor. Why? You just enter the color value. Well, I want a wheel. I want to see it.
Mhm.
Well, just use Photoshop and copy the values and do that. I'm like,
That's not what I'm asking for.
I don't want to do that. I want a
Right.
color wheel. Unreal has a color wheel. Why don't we have a color wheel? Oh, now we're out of business. So, well, um, yeah, just having the ability to have any tool read, it's it's almost like I was saying, like Roberto, it's a great time to be alive if you want to make games, if you want to build content. But really, you're more kneecapped at your knowledge or understanding of, well, really your problem solving skills, because I think that's going to be the biggest thing, is like knowing, and if anything, I guess, as much as I hate the term solution architecting,
Mhm.
kind of made me hate that role.
Yeah.
But if you know how to look at a problem, how to find a solution to something, and how to build out a plan, you can do so much with AI. If you know the steps and processes of what it takes to build a product, to build whatever,
Mhm.
great examples. They're I won't list them because I don't want to be a jerk to them, but and I will never sell them. But I see people that have plugins for like Blender or other things, and I'm like, I don't want to spend $60, but I want it for myself.
Mhm.
Back in the day, people would go and pirate it. I don't want to pirate someone's work.
Mhm.
I'm going to have AI build it exactly what I want. I'm going to basically describe exactly what it is, and I'm going to have it build it, and be like, scrap all the stuff that I don't need, because like, I just want that one feature.
Right.
Build it, and it builds it exactly for me. And now I have full control over it. There are gonna be people that do stuff like that, and they're gonna try to sell it, and that's shitty. They probably won't make any money though, just because it's anybody can do that. Then that's kind of like we got into like last month of like, if I was a SaaS company, and then kind of like even what we did, Theo, like when we're working at Accenture, like
Mhm.
it'd be scary. I don't know what it feels like being in a consultancy like that anymore, but like the stuff, a lot of the apps I've been building, like with Lovable AI and other stuff, the apps that we would have charged $200,000-$300,000 for, you can do an AI for $10,000 or less with a handful of people.
Mhm.
Does it have all the same elements of it? Probably not, but you're eliminating a lot of stuff, and so for a fraction of the cost, you could do a lot of damage. But what's happening then is you have all these companies building, especially AI companies, are building AI tools that are relying on another model, or they're doing this thing, and you're like, oh well, you know what? Actually,
They're hitching their wagon. Yeah.
a great example. I have got one more thing I never thought about. Um, Before I get into it, but yeah, but if you see something and you're like, I know you're using Claude to do that. Like, if you can, if you can deconstruct what they're doing and just do it yourself. And so
Yeah.
I've instated what I'll show you in a sec. It's called Inkwell. Well, it's a blatant attempt to do what Squibbler AI is doing. Basically, it takes your writing and uses AI to build an outline, to build a story, a novel, and helps you rewrite. But I don't like the idea of paying $20 a month for an AI writing tool.
Mhm.
So I went through and hope I don't get sued for doing that. I can't get sued because I'm not going to sell it. Right? Logic, right? You guys see what I have?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
So basically, let's see if it might have to run my NBN server. Uh, Basically, you go in here and do um, title that the guy.
Oh hell yeah.
And, I don't know.
Oh wow.
So what's so with a lot of these, there's actually Squibbler and there's a bunch of others. You give it an idea and it's going to build an outline, all this kind of stuff. Great. And then you can go and select a section of your writing. It'll beautify it. I don't really love that a whole lot, because I think a lot of times people are having it do too much. Actually, it's gonna break on this, but I went too stupid on it.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I actually wanted to do different, and this is where I'm saying, like, for a lot of companies, I would not want to be in the business of selling software now. I want to build it for myself, is that I can build out the things that I want exactly and go different. So we'll go down here to dimensional cargo, because this is actually a fun one I've been working on. I can talk to you guys all about this, but I wanted a way to visualize the chapters and how the chapters are named. I gave it everything in here, but what's different is I gave it a pretty robust intro to it, but it interviews you. And that's something that I didn't see a lot of these services doing. So imagine you have an AI's
Oh.
a tool that is like your co-writer, your publisher, your editor. And it's basically all the input of the answers I give in here. It's now going to ask me questions about all those different things. And then I go and I give it answers on that. And it'll keep asking you questions until you just say stop. But then what happens then is it starts filling things in here and it actually hasn't put any writing in here. I need to start writing stuff. But in here, at least, it starts kind of giving information of like what each chapter should be. So, you know what?
That's really cool.
I think I did a bunch of interviews and I didn't rebuild it. See what happens. But like, again, this kind of goes into my whole my AI narrative tool. If I want to write some really cool narrative, I could use this to kind of write my story, a quest line, whatever, then take that, put it into that, and then have it, AI inception.
I think it carried over some of your stuff from the other app or from the other
Yeah.
things. As your premises, I don't know.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah, on the right. Like I think it remembered your interview question, but then like the next thing it read from, I guess, was the most recent project you started.
I'm gonna take that as a note. That's a really good I don't know how I would have bug tested that.
Just trying to. So is the interview meant to be like certain plot points or certain motivations? I mean, like, okay, here's how this so far. How does that change things? How does this person, what are they thinking? What are they planning on doing next? Or like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Like this person would
yeah, I
lose
mean,
out of character.
okay, let's go up here.
Oh
You can
wow,
actually
big
see my-
history.
so since the core conflict resolves around other realities, realizing your presence, blah blah blah. Who is the first reality to notice the intrusion? It gives questions on that, and then I give an answer to it. And then from there, it's like imagine having an editor that really has no clue what you're talking about. And as you give it to them, they're sitting there thinking like, okay, well, what about this? What about that? Um, it it allows you to think out your story organically with someone that is asking, it's like an interview, rather than you having to sit there and get a writer's block and
Right.
come up with some of it. You still have to go. You should still have to go through and write everything.
But you get the prompts to see like what the next thread you could pull is to flesh something out more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's weird. Okay. It's a good, yeah, but in here, like it has things like characters, locations. I even built in, there's a Bible so that I can type in, add new characters, but it has details about like different characters. These are the things and that's the other thing too. So one of the biggest issues with a lot of these tools, these platforms is that it loses context. There's only so much context memory between an LLM before it starts hallucinating. So I built in a whole Bible kind of system of these are the core things that it needs to always reference to know. So it's like I get to chapter 34, it's not going to contradict what I had in chapter 2. And so it's not perfect, but it's trying to figure out by prototyping it, how do we resolve these kind of issues? How do we delve into these worlds of using technology like this to do something? But I would never want to try to sell this. I would never want to try to spin it up because it would just be a headache. I'd be scared of losing my investment because some smart kid that got no job and sits in their parents' basement all day and has allowance that can on AI could estimate a full company if they had the brain power to do it. So yeah. So sorry, this was the last thing I was really happy with this one. This one was kind of fun. But it's not going live anywhere. Not trying to be a competitor.
No.
I mean, and nice guy.
And you've been happy with the 4B model of Gemma?
Yeah.
For that?
Yeah, I started looking on Reddit, and I've seen some people that like there's like people that are hardcore like local LM users,
Mm-hmm.
and the machines they're using. I'm like, I feel like I thought I was a big boy. No, they're making me look dumb. Like the specs on their machines, and what they're running. I'm just like, I'm like, whoa, what would you guys do? Because they're not frontier model level stuff though. But then I start thinking like, okay, are they better for like data maybe or crunching some things like that? I don't know. I need to do more research on that. Again, I'm not smart enough. I'm more of a visual person. And I've really been trying to get more heavy into the local stuff just because it's cheap. I don't want to spend a ton of money, even though I'm spending money on every LLM out there. But I go through my token limits, building tools all the time. So for stuff like this, the narrative stuff, it's nice to be able to kind of just spin it off and let my local machine kind of waste credits on that, locally.
Yeah, definitely. Especially for creative writing, you can use a much dumber model and get a lot farther with it.
Yeah, for me, sometimes the interview thing for me was the biggest help because there's just times where I'm like, okay, I got a story, I got all the main, I've got the skeleton, but it's like the details in between. Really, what's the conflict? Because it'll ask you things like that, what caused this character to want to do that, and what was the repercussions of it. And I'm like, damn, I feel like I'm back in high school. My teacher's grilling me on why I'm a bad writer, and it just helps me kind of think about that kind of stuff again. And but I think that you got to be careful because I don't. If you have it right 100%, my wife reads a lot, and so she'll even show me some books. She's like, yeah, this person kicked out like 20 books in like 13 months.
Yeah.
They used AI, and it's not really good stuff either. So it's we try not to get as much as that possible.
Yeah, assisted, not just totally replaced. I feel yeah.
But
I made a cool tool. Can I share the tool?
go for it.
I'll share the tool. So it's
Yeah.
called Layout Manager, and it's now available to the public. Where the hell is my screen? Too many options, and I can't share it. 1 second. Oh, there it is. Got it. Oh, I think I just
Uh-oh. Oh no, was that one too many things?
Yeah, we'll send him flowers.
That's
funny.
why, and I'm hoping that my audio is working because last time I tried recording, my audio didn't capture. It crashed. Trying to record the session, so I'm hoping that
Good boy.
we'll see. We're just gonna have an hour-long video of people looking at us, our mouths move.
Mm-hmm.
sorry about that. Yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen at the last Discord hangout. Like I went from one Discord meeting with work to Discord meeting with you guys. Anyways, Layout Manager is sourced now, so you guys can get it. This is the workshop where we have other tools you can get to, but put that in there. But here's Layout Manager. And I've been building this for months, using credits at work. But it's pretty much Canva. You can just drop images and stuff in here. And if you're doing like a sprite sheet, you can make a new page out of it and then dice it up.
Cool.
Ah.
And then you can name like the individual elements and you can batch name.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can also bring in like a video. So let me show you. I got this stuff prepped kind of because I just had a meeting on it. This one will work. Then I could load it to memory or locally to a folder. I'm gonna put it to 10 FPS. Let's get those frames from the video. I can just select the frames I want.
Oh,
You can hit
hell yeah.
play, and you can just enable, disable, and kind of get the loop you want. And then you can
Awesome.
export a GIF, or you can just import it. I hit apply. I have a strip of them. I made it so you can add APIs. So if you go to preferences, AI, you can connect a bunch of APIs, but if you don't have that, you can add like a local model down here. I haven't tried the Olama support, but I know Cobalt CPP works. You can also connect Comfy UI, and I have some example workflows in the folder in there. It's kind of awkward because like my node setup could be different from yours. So you hooking it in doesn't mean it's just going to work. So you're probably going to have to like remake it. But I got some source files in there. So if you want to put in the extra effort, you can. But if you do put in the effort, you can do stuff like this. I have background removal through Comfy UI. So I have it connected. I just hit generate. And it just
Nice.
wipes all that. So I'm going to do a quick batch rename. Walk. And I'm going to create a new page. Oh, get rid of that. New page, say 1024 by 1024. Pop them in there. And that's mapping on. I do a bunch of like image work stuff with AI all the time. So I'm constantly doing this kind of thing. I know Codex is getting better and you can just kind of outsource this as well. But you're always going to have issues that you need cleanup. And this is the perfect kind of program for me for it. But yeah, you can toggle
This is quick.
between.
This
Yeah,
is awesome.
super fast. So, oh yeah, I forgot to say, like, since naming all these, you can export a JSON file. So if you go up here and go export page info, it'll export a JSON file explaining all the different locations of all the elements, and it'll give the names. So you can hand it to an AI and be like, hey, this is my run cycle. This is my my sheet of emotions, so like all the different emotions, and it will know where everything's at and exactly what sizes they are. Another thing you can do is like basic rigging. So you can like attach like a parent child, and you can do is you can grab the child and be like, this is the base position, and then move it like a hat, and then be like, this is the offset position, and then you go back to base. And when you export it, if you export the JSON file, it'll know the offsets. So if you have like a paper doll character with like hats and stuff, you can keep it in the same sprite sheet, and it'll know where it's at, and it'll know where the offset is to when it activates. So that's
Dang.
this is the kind of stuff you make when you're like rapid firing AI development stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also got chat in here, all the different providers. I also have GPT in here, so I can reference stuff. I got Nano Banana, all the newer GPT stuff as well. But yeah, it's free. There's also editing in here. So let's say you make an image with GPT and something's wrong with it, you can just. I do a lot of times. I'll select red and I'll like red paint over something, and then I'll just go apply, and I'll push it back through and be like, hey, get rid of the red paint or replace the red paint with something else. And that works extremely well for back and forth with GPT. And it's also non-destructive, so we can go back in here and get rid of it. Oh, I say that and then it's destructive. Oh no, it's because I was on the wrong layer. Okay, well, never mind. So that's something I need to fix. But what you can do is you can go in there and add a layer, do stuff to it, and go apply. And as you can see down there, bake changes. It's not baked, so you can still go in there and get rid of it. But yeah,
That's
this is Layout Manager, and it's available. It's free. It's source, not open source apparently. But yeah, I use this almost every day. I also made a 3D generator. Yeah, it's like a 3D megastructure generation dungeon thing in 3.js. So
Oh,
this is a work in
nice.
progress.
Ooh.
So a lot of biomes and stuff.
Got some backroom feels to it.
I was just thinking that too.
I keep thinking that they changed the texture pack to just be backrooms related.
Eternal parking lot.
Yeah, if we can get enough people to join, I'd be willing to host something like this, like on a server somewhere. Just I would love to, some stuff like this would be fun to get to run around. I still am trying to work on the whole modern day Fat Princess multiplayer game, but I'm trying to figure out a way to make it PC. For 2026.
The series is we're starting to do more and more templates, and a lot of it obviously is to tie into the platform, but it's just going to help in general and just getting games made.
Yeah.
And we're doing a lot of events, and there's going to be a lot of free credits. We're doing like a $50,000 giveaway. It's like a contest thing coming up soon. So, I mean, there's not a lot of people using the platform, and you guys are experts in this field, so you might actually have a freaking chance at getting a lot of money.
You just said money, so I'm gonna join.
Yeah. That's I put a promo code from the last Discord meeting I was in. It's fire 1. It'll get you some credits for the weekend, but you get credits just by joining anyway. But yeah, that's they really enable me at Series to like do what I want. I mean, I obviously have to do work on other projects, but um, in building tools like Layout Manager and just constantly being interested in tinkering, it's like these people in tech just want to support you and help you continue to move forward. So I feel very lucky, especially in the current environment of how things are going.
Yeah, I mean, anybody, it's especially in games right now, creative element of it. It's such a weird industry right now, and it's I think I can't remember where it was, but like
Mm.
college students coming out of college now trying to get into the game industry. Um, I I know I always come off as a negative Ned stuff because I doom and gloom, but it's like you got to, if you want to get into the industry now, you got to really think outside the box. And
Yeah.
like I said, if anything, I think the days of like working at a huge AAA developer publisher aren't going to be as glamorous as they used to. It used to be like, oh, you work, EA and all this, and there's still a fine place to work at, but
Mm.
the seasonal layoffs are going to be even more of a joke now. It's like literally like, well, it's been 2 months, yeah, or not even getting a job because there's I think there's like 60,000 people out of a job right now, and those one or two jobs that open up for a 3D artist, you've got a guy with 20 years of experience from a guy that has no experience
Mhm.
applying for it in such a weird industry. But I would hope that like with platforms like what you all have and just tools in general, people should start making cool stuff.
Hey, that's why I'm here. I think it's like the rise of indies again, man. And it's going to be just you and the tech and, making magic and trying your best to like fight Claude. Oh my God. Fight whatever is going on with Codex. Just
If you
learn
guys
to
ever,
argue better.
if you might enjoy it, but like if you guys use Unity, give Bezier a try. Um, Unity has their AI assistant. It's not bad. The only thing nice about, well, no, yeah, I think actually Bezier does it now too. But with the AI assistant, Unity's AI assistant, you can actually MCP into Claude or Codex, all that kind of stuff. But Bezier, it uses all. I mean, they use all the different LLMs as well. They even point out like, and I think you can choose which ones you want as well. But it's I would always say like use it. Even anything, you get a free trial. I think for the first time you're using it, it's like tell it to do stuff you don't like to do. Like think of the one thing in your Unity development that you're like, I freaking hate this part, and see if it can help do that. Because the nice thing now, it has plan mode built into it, just like Claude does. So you know, give it an idea, give it a whole prompt of like what you want to do, and then it'll come back with a whole plan of what it's going to do before it does it. And then just like Bronco, set it and forget it. It does its thing. But I just for stuff like that, and that way, like the using all these different platforms and tools, you get a better understanding of how it all works. And um, I always there was someone I was talking to, and they're like, I've been using ChatGPT, only, and I'm just like, I can't imagine using only one LLM
Yeah.
because they're so different, and like you kind of need to know, like there are some things that I will not have Claude generate artwork for me or any kind of banner or any kind of logos or anything because it's going to blow through tokens so much faster and it's going to look like junk. Whereas ChatGPT does an awesome job with it. But when you want to build a website, you want to use Claude. because it's way better at doing CSS and HTML. And so just being able to use some of these tools to figure out what they can do helps. And I've been saying, it's like AI it's the more I've been using it, more seeing people use it, it is really a personal thing. I've said it plenty of times, but like it's being all four of us here. If we were all given the same account, same level of Claude or whatever, we're all going to use it totally different. And that's why it's like when people are like, I want a user guide on how to use this LLM, and it's like, no, you shouldn't, because you're going to use it how that person used it. It's there is no get rich scheme on how to use AI. Great. There's no
I
magic.
see that all the time, dude. Oh my god, I see that online
It
all the
reminds me of the
time.
'90s where it's like, do what I did and you'll be, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, but it won't work like that. Like, you just need to use it.
Mhm.
The way you use it might infuriate me, because I'm thinking, well, what are you doing it that way for, man? But it's like, oh, okay, I totally get it. We're all wired differently.
Yeah.
But we all do things, like there are some people like clicking the WER key in 3ds Max a lot. It infuriates me. So I'm going to build a tool, whatever. So I always encourage people. Said, yeah, at work, like got Kevin and one of our other coworkers to use it, and once Kevin started using it, the stuff you guys saw, it's like, I mean, it's just like constantly making awesome stuff. But we build slightly different things here and there, and it's all beneficial. So that's why it's like I love kind of meeting someone that hasn't used AI before, and I'm kind of like, what are you going to cook up? What are you going to do? And it's like, you're going to break the law. You're going to do something cool. You're going to be the next Zuckerberg, whatever. Um, it's like, again, like the playing the MMO for the first time, you're so innocent on what you can do, and it's like you experience it, and then when you find your thing, and then the really cool thing is when you have someone that's been using it for a while and they totally figure out a whole another way to use something or new feature. But yeah, I mean, like I before, I use GitHub a lot, not a whole lot, I guess, but when I got Claude Code, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can hook up my Claude Code sessions to GitHub and have it like just go crazy, and then build a GitHub page to host things. I do that religiously now. I do it multiple times a day, and it's just and I use AI in such a different way than I did a year ago. And so, but it's just by experiencing it, by doing it. So, and I know there's going to be, you all see it. There's so many anti AI people. I get why they're anti AI, but I don't think that they're listening enough to see what why they think they're they're anti AI for a good reason, but they're anti AI for the wrong aspects of it. And everybody that says like, oh, there's a bubble. There's gonna be a bubble. There's gonna be a point where some of these large companies just aren't making the money they want. But you know, we all have we have local LLMs on our machines, and China's making ones that are that are open source, local, that compete with Fable, from what I've seen. I'm gonna try those out, but so it's just the enterprise level corporate American greedy models may not make as much money as they hope they would, but they're going to go away, and you'll have everybody's like, oh, it's just like the internet. Yeah, here we are. We're on the internet right now. There was the .com boom bubble. It did kill the internet. So I think it's people being hopeful that we're going to go back to the 1980s and everybody can have things the way they were. You're not going back. So
Nah,
Hey,
I don't want to go back.
speaking of Kimmy, or speaking of China, have you tried Kimmy? And
that's what I was.
It's
That's what I
been
was
busy
trying
every
next.
time I've tried it.
I haven't tried it. I saw that was it I think it's Firewatch, whatever is the YouTube channel, posted about it. Apparently it's really good.
Yeah, I was hoping that there was a model you could download. I thought I saw that they had a version of that maybe, but I
Too many gigs, man. You can't host it. Not gonna
yeah,
happen.
that's
It's smaller, but it's still like it's a lot.
yeah, that's where I'm like, if I can justify myself of buying just a machine for it, but with stuff like that, it just feels like it's like solar panels for me. I know the second I buy solar panels, there's gonna be a better model that comes out, and my
I feel the
$20,000
same way,
investment
man.
is
Yeah.
useless. So I know if I buy a machine that can host local LLMs, they're like, oh, by the way, we made one that fits on your fingernail and it runs
Yeah.
off thoughts and and good emotions. They're like, gosh, dang it, just wasted $5,000.
Every time I look at an AI computer, I think the same thing. It's like, but it's 126 gigs, man. I can finally do the thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it, and then the second
Well,
that happens,
it's like all the
you
people
know.
that bought they're the desktop little
The Mac
bricks,
Minis.
Mac Minis,
Yeah.
so they could run OpenClaw and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
And I don't hear anybody talking about OpenClaw anymore.
Yep.
Or so it's just like it's if you're following what someone else is doing to buy into it, you're already too late because you're following someone else. You've got to be the one to be like, I have a good idea, and even then, you're still going to lose money probably. So, I'm cheap.
Yeah.
I try not to spend as much money as possible and stuff like that. So,
I mean, image models are getting cheaper. The new Anima, it's like an anime image generation model, can run on a 9 gig card, and it's really good. And they have like we have Nano Banana at home level of quality. Uh, it's pretty great for what it is, and I'm hoping LLMs can do the same. I know we got GGUF, but like, can we get a little bit more brains here, man? Like,
so with a
I'm
lot of
looking forward to
the AI image tools, because I like pixel art, I'll have to post it. 80 level's been posting it a lot. Actually, Kevin, it was in that link I gave you today earlier, but it's called Pixel Snapper, and it fixes a lot of what AI can do. Cool pixel art. Problem though is when it generates it doesn't clamp the colors. So from a distance, it looks like, oh, that's a really, say it makes a basketball and it's supposed to be orange, black outline, and whatever white lettering. For distance, it looks great. You zoom in and there's like 25 hues of orange and it's artifact. And what it should look like, it should be a 32 by 32 pixel sprite, is really a 2000 pixel by 2000 pixel image that looks like pixel art.
Pixel Snapper is freaking great, and there's like some free tools that do pretty much the same thing, like nodes on Comfy UI you can get. Actually, I use the tile map editor that the guy that did Pixel Snapper. You can use it on web for free, or you can download the desktop version for like a small amount of money. I paid for it, and that's what I use for Picmon for map creation, because you can just export the sprite sheet and a JSON file, and that's all it is. And like you can feed that to an AI, and it'll just make it work.
I showed Kevin today because he also has that perspective tool where you can rip any texture perspective and it flattens it.
Oh yeah.
It's free. Sick. It might be open source, but it's free. That's neat. Again, and part of my brain wants to figure out if I can figure out how to build it with AI, even though it's free, just because of I did a thing.
Yeah.
Or because I want to make the UI blue instead of whatever he has. And we should put some of those tools in the maybe I can make a tools channel just for cool stuff like that. Cool. Okay, guys. It's almost been 2 hours, and I could ramble on. Been a good conversation. Really
good
hope
stuff.
the audio
Thanks.
worked. But yeah, Theo, thanks for joining. Chris, thanks for Kevin. Thanks for joining, guys.
Thanks for inviting and sharing this. This has definitely sparked my interest in jumping back into it. Like my new company, I say embraces AI. Like they'll use some of it. There's some put guardrails on it for some of the code stuff, but definitely in terms of like game dev and tools and augmentation, like that stuff really has me intrigued. I used to really want to write the tools and stuff for the stuff we did at Accenture, but a lot of times we just didn't have the time to do it. But it wasn't that I wanted to write the tools; it's that I wanted the tools to exist. So yeah, this having this able to build that out and kind of take a lot of that off my lap would be good.
It would be interesting if you could, if you ever had an example of like, how a tool could function, how you should at least architect it out, and to see, what the return on and how much effort it takes to get something to work. Because that's my whole thing is like when you start getting people that know how to build tools and functions like that, what is the value then? Because we could be all wrong. You could, it could just be easier to program maybe, but or to generate even art and all that kind of stuff. But I'm always curious to see, like are the gains made, and but also where do we lose our joy of working? Do you stop doing the things you enjoy to do, or do you just I like to make more stuff, so that's usually why I like to do all that. So awesome.
Great.
All right, y'all. Thanks for joining, and I'll put up John in the chat put some dates in there. So if anybody has any conflicts with any of those dates, let me know. I'll try to make our next call for those dates so John can join. John's watching. Hey, John. Hey, guys.
Always a
Bye.
pleasure. Bye, guys.
Take care, yeah.